Hello and welcome to the StartupBREW Fargo podcast. StartupBREW is a weekly event hosted by Emerging Prairie in downtown Fargo, where we believe that entrepreneurship is energized over brews. Each week, we bring entrepreneurs, founders, and innovators together because we believe they succeed when they have access to each other and the community that supports them. Today, we heard from two wonderful women founders, Holly Kraft with DRUTHERS and Jackie Maahs with The Plant Supply. We're going to kick today off with Holly, who is the founder and owner of DRUTHERS, a men's retailer. Holly has been in the retail industry for over 15 years and has found her niche in making others feel confident in their style and providing a fun, relaxing place to shop. Let's listen in to learn more from Holly.
As Nathan said, I am Holly Kraft. I own DRUTHERS. It is a new men's clothing store in Fargo. And I started out, I am born and raised in North Dakota, essentially. I've lived here my whole life, just outside of Fargo. Moved to Fargo, did school at MSUM and DSU, and graduated from the apparel and textiles program. And from there, I've had retail experience ever since, and it's been in small businesses, it's been in big corporate settings, both Shields and Vanity corporate offices. And so I have a huge breadth of knowledge within the retail industry, but really my niche was loving and being able to work in men's fashion. It was a lot of fun when I worked for AKA, if you guys know what that store used to be. It was a young men's premium clothing store on the corner of 4th and Broadway quite a few years ago. It closed, I think, in 2012, maybe. It's been a few years. And then at Strauss Clothing as well, which was true clothing, like dress clothing. So I got to marry all of my experience, all of my knowledge, technical retail knowledge, and then my love of men's fashion, and fill a void in the Fargo community. There are not a lot of men's retail stores in the area, and especially casual clothing, moderate price points, everyday wear, which was something that I really wanted to provide for the residents and surrounding communities within Fargo. So a huge focus that we do in the store is, like I said, super casual, really comfortable, stretch denim, soft fabrics, a lot of really cool flannels, and another huge focus I have of mine is sustainability. And so over half of our assortment is sustainable. We do carry brands from 10 Tree, which plants 10 trees for every item that's purchased, which is really cool. So far, because of my purchases in the store and as a result of your purchases from me, we've planted almost 10,000 trees since I opened in May of 2020. Yeah, it's exciting. But that is a whole other challenge. I did open in the pandemic, like in the heart of the pandemic. I had plans to open the store. Started in 2019. My big 2020 was going to be my year, y'all. Like, it was going to be huge. And then March rolls around and the entire world shuts down. And that was really the week that our city shut down. It was like the last week of March. That was the weekend I was supposed to open. And so it was a bit of a disheartening announcement to have to take in, and I spent the rest of April in a store that was fully stocked, ready to go, completely displayed and closed, it was very difficult to navigate. And then when we closed, there was no end in sight. It was just, let's close and see what we see, and then 2 weeks later we're going to stay closed, let's see what we see. A couple weeks later, same thing. So it was really just kind of hold tight and pray that this is over quickly. And then in the beginning of May, everybody was allowed to reopen in a safe way, which was also a bit of a disheartening thing too, because I couldn't have the big party. I couldn't have like the big come see me, let's have an open house, because we were still not allowed to gather in groups larger than 10. We still had to keep 6 feet of space. So it was a different, challenging way to kind of open a store in 2020. But it's 2021, it's almost 2022, I'm still here, we're still kicking it. I still have so many more sustainable offerings. I have a couple extra brands in the store that I didn't start with. I even expanded out into women's, so I do have a really small assortment of women's in some of our sustainable brands as well as some of our more fashion-focused brands. But it's really vendors that the guys love, that the women love for their guys, and then they also have their women's assortment too. So it's been really fun to kind of expand the offering at Druthers to include a whole other market. Like the sweater I'm wearing, a little bit of merchandising. This is mine. Debbie also got her sweater that she's wearing at Druthers, so it's been really fun to kind of see the assortment out in the wild, as I always call it. When I see people wearing them out in public, I love it. It warms my heart because I know that they're buying it, they're wearing it, and they're loving it. Another focus of the store is to carry local products. It's not a huge assortment yet, but I love to make it bigger. So right now I do carry plant supply, so you're going to hear from them next. I do have a small assortment of their planters in the store. I do have Do Good candles in the store. I love being able to sell local products. I just picked up Bardi, I believe I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. Wallets. They're actually out of Moorhead. They have a huge following on social, so if you don't follow them, please do. And come into the store and check it out. I have 2 of their styles, but they're super cute couple, really young, and they're just killing it in their game. They're in other retailers across the United States. They have their own presence, but now they're in Druthers too. So if you want a physical space to check out their products, that's what I love being able to provide. And I know there's other businesses in town that also carry local products, but it's also fun to support. Like the more you support, the better off you are. So yeah, it's been an adventure to run and own a business. It's not something I've ever done before. I really do enjoy it, but I've also learned there's a lot of pitfalls in it. You need excellent time management, which is also fun. I do not have that. I wish I did, but I don't. So it's been a learning curve for sure. And then I just love being able to meet all the new people in town and being able to help guys. So that's one of the services that I do also offer is styling. A lot of men are not confident in what they're putting together and what they're wearing and how it fits. And so for me to be able to provide that confidence and reassurance and that sounding board for them to just feel good about what they're putting on their body, to feel confident in what they're wearing and how they look, and then to also just take the guesswork out of it. So I also will organize their assortments into piles like wear this with this, wear this with this, do not wear this with this. And I feel like that's a really appreciated service for a lot of people, and even some of the ladies too. You know, it's really hard to feel confident in what you have on. And so to be able to provide that for another person is very rewarding to me. So I'm super excited to be able to offer something new to the community, and something new that not a lot of people have. The brands are new, and so it's fun to be able to spread that knowledge base on some of that sustainable stuff and some of those fun lifestyle brands that we carry in the store. Yeah. I feel like that's all I have. I'm sorry.
Next up, we hear from Jackie Maahs, a plant lover and co-owner of The Plant Supply. She has spent the last 10 years building a career in environmental sustainability for corporations and higher education institutions, but recently shifted her focus to pursue her love of houseplants full-time. Let's listen in to learn more.
I do want to shout out Holly because my husband is also currently wearing one of your jackets. So we are big fans of Druthers. It's awesome. So I'm Jackie Maahs. I am the co-founder, along with my husband Jordan, of The Plant Supply. And The Plant Supply is kind of our mission is to help people grow happier through houseplants. And we do that in a few ways. The first one is we create products that are make plant care easier. Our kind of keystone product is our concrete planters. And then we also do macrame plant hangers and propagation vases. So really just focusing on products that are beautiful and help to give people the tools and the resources that they need to keep their plants alive. And then also creating or providing really valuable information for people. So one of our kind of pillars is to grow happier. So we want people to find houseplants to be a joyful and fun and uplifting hobby rather than something that's maybe stressful or kind of bringing them just another chore or task to kind of take on in their life. And so my entrepreneurship journey, if I actually think about it, I think started when I was pretty young. I was always someone who was interested in crafting or making things with my hands. I really loved the idea of creating handmade products and selling them, and to be able to know who is making the item that's in your home, getting to know them. I loved going to craft shows with my mom and buying just different little things, trinkets for my room and stuff. So I had an American Girl book, actually, that was about how to make and sell like Christmas products, and like they kind of taught you how to price them out. And I read that book from front to cover multiple times, but I never really had, I don't know if other people were like this, but my parents were very career-focused people. So my mom's an accountant, my dad's an engineer, and so they were never entrepreneurial. And so I never really had the support, I think, and not to their fault at all. They just didn't really have that kind of bone in their body. But I had this passion, but I didn't have a way to pursue it. And so instead, I did have a family that was really interested in nature, outdoors. We went camping, and so I caught the bug for sustainability work and environmental science. So that was the field that I ended up pursuing. And I did that for a number of years. Most recently at Concordia College, I was the sustainability coordinator there for 3 years. But continued to just really have this passion for the outdoors and bringing that indoors through plants. And my plant collection was growing. And suddenly I realized more people were getting interested in plants, especially kind of coming into like 2018, 2019, obviously 2020 with the pandemic. And I thought, wow, like there is this market for plants and people seeking out plant knowledge and reliable and trustworthy plant information. And so in 2019, I, with no more than an idea, applied to the Red River Market. And basically my idea was I want to propagate plants, so I want to have locally grown plants with people growing them with local knowledge, and make these planters, make some sort of planter. Actually, at the time I didn't even have a planter made. I just literally thought I will make planters somehow, and I will sell them at a market. And so I applied to the Red River Market, literally with just an idea, no product. So the application, I think, comes out in like April. And they miraculously accepted me on an idea. And in the matter of a couple months, by July, I had to have a full market set up and actually have plants and products to sell, which that was kind of crazy. So I'm not a potter, and so we had to come up with a way to make planters, which was, we ended up going with the route of concrete. I'd never worked with concrete before, but in a matter of months figured out how to design and create this really awesome product actually for planters, because it's very porous. And yeah, we started the booth at the Red River Market in 2019, and amazingly it went over super well, and it was super fun to launch that and see it grow. And over the time, there obviously were challenges. One was the fact that we were basically running a small-scale manufacturing company out of our one-bedroom downtown Fargo apartment. And so I don't know if any of you have worked with concrete before, but it is not a clean or by any means like tidy process. And so we really learning how to manage that and do that was really interesting and challenging, and also just working full-time at the time at Concordia and also running a side business. My husband was working full-time. We were both working from home during the pandemic. It was crazy. And then the other part of it is plants. When you sell products around plants, obviously with any product you sell, you have to become or be an expert in that field. And when you're talking about plants, there is so much to know about caring for plants. There are so many types of plants. It's really, once you dig into it, it's unbelievable. And so really gaining the confidence to tell or to, consider myself an expert in that field and be a resource to people, and also to kind of be a resource around this idea of joyful plant care. So I'm normally kind of a worrywart, and so I really had to be, it made me accountable to this idea and concept that we were growing a brand around, which is that plant care should be joyful. It should be a learning and growing process and not something that, brings you stress. So for example, one of our tried and true sayings is like, we kill plants too. So kind of owning that, and saying it's okay if you kill a plant. If you kill a plant, you've learned something from that experience and you can try again. So that has been a really fun process and kind of confidence boosting process for me. Looking forward, our business, we're expecting big and fun things in 2022. We have a baby coming in December, so that will change our business in ways I'm sure we're not even sure of yet. And then, we're going to hopefully kind of expand more of our retail offerings and wholesaling through local retailers, which we're really excited about. And then our own retail space, being able to sell our plants and our products and maybe other plant kind of product makers from the area at a retail space coming in 2022 as well. So we're really excited about that.
After the presentation, we jumped into a live Q&A session with the audience, joined by our host, Nathan Marcotte from the Grand Farm team. Let's listen in.
We'll kick it off with a question for both of you. So you talked about opening kind of in the height of the pandemic, and I know you started kind of around that same time as well. But maybe thinking about within the last year, what is something that you're most proud of within your business? You want to kick us off, Holly?
Yes. So I'm just really most proud of still being alive and standing up and functioning. I do have 2 kids at home, so being able to separate the stress that comes with owning a business and doing it in such a challenging year with such a challenging time, and then being able to come home and just like let it go and just be at home and be mom has been a huge success for me. And then really trying to focus on the website business professionally. That websites aren't going away anytime soon, and a lot of people, even in town, will love to shop online and pick up in store. It's just a huge convenience. So being able to focus on that and build that has been a proud moment for me too.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think 2 things come to mind. Number 1 is just the product development process that we've been able to accomplish over the last couple years. Like I said, when we started the business, we had no experience in concrete, and just seeing where we've come to and the beautiful items that we're able to sell and that I'm really proud of has been really cool. And then the second is just some of the cool opportunities that we've had to expand and kind of step out into different realms of our business. So we started out as kind of retail focused, but now we're doing some consulting work, working with like Jasper Hotel. We did their plants and I care for their plants there. And so being able to see like new opportunities flourishing in this space of houseplants has been really cool.
Fantastic. Well, we'll turn to the audience now. So if any of you have questions, raise your hand and we'll call on you. All the way in the back.
So knowing that 2022 is reopening and a much bigger whole year, do you guys have anything that you're looking forward to next year that you can tell us about?
So the question was, thinking through everything that happened in 2021, is there anything in this next year that you're really looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to hopefully a normal year. And that's just from an experience base of not knowing what to expect. So having like a consistent year where maybe COVID isn't something that's said every day is something that I'm looking forward to. But as far as the business is concerned, it's really just focusing on what we do well and doing it better, and then getting out to more places. So trying to do more pop-ups. I've done a couple downtown. I'd love to do more throughout the community just to spread awareness and just set up a display in other places, which is always fun. And then really cultivating the women's side of what Druthers is and how that plays together. Those are my big goals for 2022.
Yeah, and for me, I would say, so 2020, this last year, I started doing the plants by full-time end of May. And so next year will be my first full year doing it full time. And so that will be really interesting and fun to kind of be able to dive headfirst through all 4 quarters and figure out what that looks like for myself and for my business. And then, like I mentioned, the retail space. We're very excited. Can't talk a lot about it, but it's coming. Stay tuned. Keep your eye open. And that'll be really fun to dive into that side.
So watch your socials then.
Yes, theplant.supply.
Fantastic. And I was always excited when I saw your pop-up downtown. That was fun to check out since I find myself downtown quite a bit. But we'll go to the audience. Any other questions? Emma?
Holly, if you were to give Jackie any advice about a physical storefront, what would it be?
Oh, boy. Welcome to your new home. It is your home away from home. Really, it's just sometimes my best piece of advice is some days are really good and some days are really bad, and it's okay either way. The bad days where you only see like the UPS driver are really tough, or you've processed 3 returns back to back. Like those days are really, really tough. But just to know that they're not every day, and it will get better, and you'll have a really good day that, sometime in the week. So just make sure you remember the ebb and flow of business. It's hard for me to still even remember that when you're living in it too, though.
Fantastic.
I have a question for Holly, because this is something I think anybody who sells products is always trying to figure out. I know we are too. How do you make choices? Because I love your store. I'm wearing one of the jackets from there now. How do you make choices about like breadth of choice versus simplicity and not overwhelming people?
I hope I've done an okay job of that balance, but it's really hard because when you view products from a line, so everything I carry is owned or developed by a vendor, and so I buy off of vendor lines and then resell them in the store. I don't develop my own products, which is honestly way more fun, because when I go to market, it's like I'm shopping. I get to go pick out all these styles that I love that I think will do really well, but the thing that I look for the most is it comfortable? Is it easy to wear, and is it easy to style? And those are the three rules that I go by when I'm picking out products for the store. And really, I build collections for anybody that's shopping. So things that will mix and match really well, things that play together. So when you walk into Druthers, hopefully you see your closet, things that will play nicely and be able to wear multi-use and with each other. And that's really what I mean, it's not as glamorous. It's hard to pick out products for people and know what everybody's going to love. So I have flopped quite a few times. I have a clearance section. There are things that have not sold, and I don't always win, but it's a lot of fun to try to figure out the best things and bring them into the store.
All the way in the back. And I'll repeat that question for everyone. So the question was about transitioning a little bit towards digital. What was maybe one of the biggest challenges with that, and one of the biggest wins with that?
Yeah, so this was a really interesting process for us. So we started our online shop. We still sell through Etsy online. And we started that right before the pandemic hit, so December of 2019, kind of January 2020. And when the pandemic hit, we were working from home, transitioned ourselves to working from home. And at the same time, houseplants really took off during COVID, and no one was able to go to plant shops. And so planters, you couldn't buy them locally. And so our planters really took off. And one of our products in particular really hit the algorithm right and started selling like crazy through Etsy, which was awesome, obviously. But also when you're both working full time and you're dealing with mental health of COVID and product making in your dining room, it was really a struggle. And so awesome for growth at the time, but we actually at the same time couldn't keep up, and we ended up having to close down our Etsy shop during our most potentially profitable time, which was July to September of 2020. So summer, our best season during this time of, when everyone's buying houseplants, because we just couldn't do it. And we even tried raising prices. People kept buying. It was insane. Great, but insane. So we just had to take a break, which ended up being a blessing in disguise, because we ended up moving during that time and stuff too. But so retail online was really a great switch for us during COVID, especially. It has now slowed quite a bit since then. I think people like going and shopping for plants in person, which is part of why we're going to move ourselves even to more of a retail space. People love to see plants, touch plants, and want to see them before they buy them. So it's slowed down quite a bit, but that time during COVID was, pretty crazy.
Yeah, and for me, I always knew that the store would need a website, just because retail cannot survive without an online presence, even if it's just for a catalog purpose for people to preview and shop and then go into the store to purchase. But with being ready to be open at the end of March and then having to wait until May, that gave me 5 weeks to really push my efforts towards developing and fine-tuning the website. So that's what I did during those few weeks where I couldn't open but was ready. It was kind of a blessing in disguise, because it gave me a little bit of extra time to really push as much as I could onto that website and make sure that it functioned well, it looked good, and that it was a good representation of the physical space of the store. My web sales are not insane. I never went through any of that because I was a new store in carrying clothing, which when the world's shut down and you're stuck at home, you're not buying new clothes. So I was not going through the growing pains, but I do get a lot of website traffic just from a pre-shop stance, and then people will come in and say, I saw this online. So that was one of the good things about having the website and being able to push that focus towards it.
Well, thank you. We'll jump to Twitter for our next question now. It's for you, Holly. So the question is, do you offer personal shopping services for hard-to-size men?
I would love to. It's not an official service, but it's something that I do love to do for everybody. I do have a client in Hawaii that I was doing a Stitch Fix sort of arrangement with. I have a new client in Colorado that I'm starting that with. And so I've offered it to people in town too. Let me know. I'll pull some assortments together for you that I think will fit you well. They'll be ready for you when you come in. Try them on or don't. Pick them all or pick some. And then you're on your way. So I do love being able to do that. As far as hard to fit sizes, that's a little bit more challenging. So in the store, I do carry size small through 2X and all of a regular length. I do have some tops that do run long for those tall guys that have trouble finding stuff, but it's not a true tall. And as far as pants go, I carry sizes 28 through 38, so not an extended size. And then again in the regular inseam, so the 32-inch inseam. So styling services, absolutely. I love being able to do that. Unique sizes definitely have to be held on a case-by-case basis because some things will work and some things will not.
Thank you. We'll turn back to the audience. Chris.
Druthers is, so what I wanted the store to be was somebody's first choice, preferred place, like your preference. But I was not in love with calling it preferred or trying to go down like a generic term path like that. So I actually went on thesaurus.com and I plugged in preference and choice. And I think I was on page like 20 of trying to find an option, and I came across druthers. And druthers is a term from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's a contraction essentially. It's a slur between would and rather, and it meant somebody's first choice. So if I had my druthers, if I had my first choice, if I had my way, I'd only shop here. And it really stuck. It was a strong term, and I fell in love with it, so that's where I ran with it.
Fantastic. Debbie.
Both of you do a great job with social media. You both show up on it. I said that in my intro. But Jackie, you in particular, your stories and your content, what advice do you have for a small business owner selling a product to just get online and just show up?
Yeah. I enjoy social media. I think one of the key things that I have found is, number one, I have a business, luckily, that really lends itself to providing information and advice. So plants is really something where people are always asking questions, are always interested in learning. And so I think most of my content is really that providing resources and information to people. So I try to follow like at least 4 out of 5 posts are information, resources, and then 1 out of 5 is like product or something about an upcoming event or something like that. Also just like really narrowing in on that niche. So we know that at the Plant Supply, our niche is that we are providing honest and kind of like location-based information about plant care. So we talk about caring for plants if you live in Fargo or like Minnesota, North Dakota type of region, which is not actually that common. A lot of houseplant growers are in like Florida and California where the weather is very different. And so we are very location-based in our plant care advice, as well as just honest about my own plant care journey and sharing that really openly and coming from a place of like having joy and happiness in plant care rather than stress and anxiety around pests or plants dying and things like that. So finding that niche has been really important. And then leaning into, as much as you can, kind of that educational or like experiential side of what your product and your business brings really helps to pull people in.
Perfect. Well, maybe a question for both of you. I know you touched a little bit on it as well in your last answer of finding your niche. For both of you, so men's clothing and plants, that kind of focuses in already, but maybe within that, how have you found maybe your ideal customer, or like what different segments within there have resonated best with the services that both of you offer?
Well, I'm still finding my niche. I would love to say that I have it focused in, but being one of the only places for men to shop has really broadened the customer base that has come in through the store, which I am absolutely in love with, but it does make it more difficult to focus your message. So my goal was to be a place for that 25 to 45, and that's really how I buy. But I have kids in high school looking for senior picture outfits, all the way up to men 60s, mid 60s. And they're styling obviously very differently. So my best niche is just dual purposing an item, showing you how to wear it for the younger crowd versus how to wear it for the more mature crowd. And that way I can sell some of the similar items to both customer bases. But I'm still really fine-tuning the niche and trying to figure out everything. And it's just kind of been fun to evolve and see who's showing up and, yeah, who loves the brand.
Yeah, I would say our experience was like very different, I think, from Holly's in that she has a very specific store that is really unique for our area. Whereas I think for us, there are already like a number of really well run, very well known plant shops in the Fargo-Moorhead area. And so when we came in, it really was that question of like, I am an individual. I have my own personal experience of growing plants. How do I stand out against, Baker Gardening Gift or something, or Holland's, or these places that have been running in the area for many, many years? And so really what we honed in on was that information piece. We want to be a resource to people. We want to be a friendly face, a place where people can come and ask any question, no judgment. We're open to talk about plants. We're open to talk about our experiences. And really it was a lot about how we approach plants and plant care and having that be our differentiator rather than, obviously our product too, we want to provide really quality products, but for me it's like really that experience of you can come here, we'll talk to you about plants, we're gonna approach you and make sure that you feel comfortable buying plants instead of you maybe wandering around a nursery not knowing what you're looking for or being overwhelmed, and kind of providing just a really personal experience when it comes to buying plants and buying plant-related products.
I can vouch for her too, because when I first started carrying her products, I was like, I don't know anything about your planters. Like, how do I sell these? And I was asking her silly questions. For me, what felt like silly questions. And she's like, no. And she made me feel super comfortable not knowing the answer and then telling me and having it explained to me like, yes, you can sell it this way, but you don't have to. And here's what you can do. And, it was really nice to have that knowledge base come from somebody who had a friendly face.
Well, we love that. Any other questions from the audience? We have time for about one more. Anyone burning to ask a question? Emma?
Well, lady, you have some really cool collaborations. I've seen you outside the Jasper, watering all the plants, and I'm like, yes, look at her go! Yeah. Can you explain maybe who you collaborate with in the area and how you stumbled across those?
Yeah, sure. So, I would say stumbling across is a great way to put it because I think it's been amazing. I think partly being in Fargo, you just meet people like coming to things like this, and suddenly you are, asked if you can put a concrete tray and bookends in every room in the Jasper Hotel, and it's amazing. So that one has been really fun. So we have our products in their rooms as well as, supplied the plants for the space and have been caring for them. And then just like meeting with people, meeting with Debbie and doing collaborations around, our planters being used for candles, like just being creative and thinking outside the box. And then I think also, the mindset I think is important when you're approaching collaborations is, I want everyone, not only do I want obviously my product and my business to succeed, but it's so fun to be able to be a part of seeing someone else's business succeed and being a part of that experience together. And so, I love the, being able to have my, stuff in Holly's store and have, collaborations with Debbie or, other things. it makes the process and the business so much more enjoyable than me just trying to be creative and do things on my own, which is kind of boring. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And every single week here at Startup Brew, we end on one final question. We gather here as a community each week, so we want to know, what is one thing that all of us can do to help energize and support both of your work?
I'm still building the social presence, so definitely follow me online, engage in the content, and then just really kind of support socially is something that I've been trying to also focus on, so that would be very helpful. Shop in store. I'd love to see every single one of your faces, at least to check it out, see what we have. If I'm not for you, totally fine, but send a friend. Referrals are always the best business and the most loyal, because somebody loved what I did and told somebody else, hey, I think you would love this. Go check it out. So those are probably the two best ways for me to receive some support from this group.
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of tough because right now we're like slowing down a little bit as a baby comes, and we'll be kind of slowing down for the next few months. But I would say just follow along on social media, because we do have big things planned for 2022, which seems like a long ways away, but it's not. And so, yeah, just staying connected. And then also, like, if you have, people who are looking for plants, we do events, we do custom orders as Christmas comes around. If you're looking for a fun like workshop for your company to do together for like a holiday party, we've done plant workshops and different like terrarium ornament things for company Christmas parties and things. So plants are not only a summer thing, you can enjoy them in the winter as well. So just keep that in mind too.
Well, fantastic. Let's give both of them a huge round of applause.
That's all we have today for this week's Startup Brew Fargo. Thanks for listening in. Startup Brew Fargo is energized by Emerging Prairie, an organization dedicated to connecting and celebrating the founders' ecosystem. We'd also like to thank the following sponsors for their support: Pro Resources, Brady Mertz, FMCVB, Office Sign Company, Fargo Parks, FM Area Foundation, Midco, and Fargo Brewing Company. See you next time.